Should just play the intro.
Hello, folks. Everybody's coming on really early. We have Sarah's here.
Hi, Sarah.
And William's here.
Hi, William. I'm unplugging my headphones because I can hear an echo. So hopefully that will be better for everybody.
Yeah, because I could hear your echo. It was like there was a Vivian.
Well, I'm very excited because our guest, who's over there, is the one and only Mr. John Blackburn.
Hello. Good evening, everybody.
He's not only our guest, but he's a very good friend of mine. And in the green room just now, we were calling each other family.
Hello.
Which is really lovely.
It's been a long time, hasn't it, babe?
Shh. Just refer to me as your little sister.
Our kid.
But it doesn't.
In this show,
yeah, I know. But John wouldn't beat me up like an older brother would, so I don't mind calling him bro.
And
not like you, Jonathan.
William. Hello, William.
Hi, William.
And hello, Robert.
Robert from Scotland.
Robert from Scotland.
Hello, what's the news? Right.
And
Nico says he's so excited he could crash a break. But you wait to hear what we're going to talk about tonight, because John,
we're talking about grapes and how to crash them.
No, we're not.
Ah.
Well, those people that don't know John, and I'm sure that people in the chat do know John, could you tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself before we go into what we were going to talk about?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, it's a long story, to be honest with you. And it goes way back. 2010 it goes back to. But I won't dwell on too much about the past. But what actually happened is I used to work as a host for a company for about 5 years. And, a paranormal events company for about 5 years. And then, oh God, from years ago, from about 20 odd years, I I sat in development circles, mediumship circles. There was one particular one, which a good friend of mine called Joanne Taylor, amazing medium. And I was in her mediumship circle, must have been about 15 years. I can't remember. It's been quite some time. And then in 2010, I used to work for a company called United Utilities as a project controller. And at the time, they were offering voluntary severance. So I decided to take the money. And I decided to set up a company called Mysteria, which was Mysteria Paranormal Events. And the whole thing about Mysteria, really, it wasn't just ghost hunting events. I wanted it to be about everything. Events with UFO sightings, different things. I mean, but like as you know, the easiest thing to do really is the paranormal ghost hunting type of event. So I went off with that, and I probably did it for about a couple of years, maybe about 2 years, and it was going really, really well. And then I got an email from a gentleman called Sean Robinson, and it's strange coincidences, really. You know, along the journey from when I met Sean, there was strange coincidences why it was me, if that sounds mad. But I'll explain in a minute. So Sean sent me this email with a video attached, and you can see the videos on YouTube. And the usual thing on YouTube, when somebody shows a video, they all say, "No, it's fake." Just that and the other. So anyway, so he sent me this video. He says, "I've caught a new video and I want you to see it." I said, "Right." I looked at it and I thought, "Wow, that's amazing." And he sent me his phone number, or did he? I can't remember, but I may have messaged him back and said, "I need to chat to you about it." And I spoke to Sean, and what Sean wanted is he got all this video evidence, but he wanted to know more about a painting called The Anguished Man. Now, the only thing that he knew about the painting is his grandmother, she gave it to him when she died. And the painting was painted by a friend of hers. And when a friend finished it, he committed suicide. But the interesting thing is that the painting is painted in his blood. So the painting itself, it's just bizarre, which you can see a little bit behind me now. And you can tell the person who painted it had a few issues, you know, and obviously I should imagine that's why it's called The Anguished Man. So I said to Sean, I said, "Look, Sean," I said, "in order to find out information about this painting, I need to work with it." So Sean said, "Right, okay." But like in the conversation, the interesting thing was that he wasn't meant to send the email to me. He was meant to send it to somebody else, but for some reason he sent it to me. So from what I thought I would be working with a painting to find out more information for Sean, I thought I'd be probably working with it for about 2 weeks. And it ended up 3.5 years, which was totally bizarre, really. And to cut a long story short, the first session, I call it, was I started to do a live experiment with the painting, and I decided to take it to a place called Wasdale Hall in Cumbria, and there's a painting. And Wasdale Hall in Cumbria, it's not a particularly haunted place, really. So I took it there as a development. What an excellent way for people who was on this event session to actually be in touch with it. So say like I'd use it for psychometry, let's say, you know, where they can get to feel it and they can be close to the painting and see what you can get. Not a lot happened, apart from a few interesting things. There was a group of girls who was on their own with a painting, and he said he could hear scratching within inside the painting. A few other little things, and the most strangest thing is that I picked up Sean to take him to Wasdale Hall, and like I say, Wasdale Hall wasn't particularly haunted. It was pretty flat, really, to be honest with you. And the image you can see up now is one of the Englishman live experiments, and I think it went in the Soul and Spirit magazine, and that's just a bit of a copy. So the interesting thing was I picked up Sean with the painting, take him to Wasdale Hall. Like I said, it wasn't particularly an active location, but when the painting was brought into Wasdale Hall, interestingly enough, the atmosphere, you could cut it with a knife, it just changed completely. You know, from being somewhere that was flat to somewhere that felt really heavy. So that was the first thing that interested me, and it wasn't just me that could feel that; other people could feel that too. So, like I said, I ended up working with the painting for about 3.5 years, and I thought it'd be 2 weeks. First 12 months, it was like we were getting to know each other. You know, not a lot happened. If I worked with the painting once a month, which is probably what I did, maybe for the first 12 months, interesting things happened, you know, but nothing. It was like he started to move slightly, you know, and interesting things happened. But like, I started to discover the more I worked with it. If I worked with the painting twice a month, it was really interesting. If I worked with a painting 3 times a month, it was amazing. So it kind of got to a situation where I was constantly ploughing money into this, you know, to set up events. You know how expensive events are, and
Very
it was
expensive.
it was a live. It was a Englishman live experiment, so people would book on as a live experiment, something completely different. It wasn't like just your normal event. It was just purely about painting and the location that we took the painting to. And the idea was with the Englishman live experiment, I thought to myself, what if you had a painting which you took it to an extremely haunted painting that you took it to a haunted location. You know, for one, part of the Englishman live experiment was to find out more about the painting, and then the second thing was, what if you took a haunted item, as in a painting, to a haunted location? How would the resident spirits react? And it was an interesting concept, and it paid dividends at Chillingham Castle in Northumberland. By this time, I was working with the painting possibly 3 times a month. It was really active then. I always remember driving to Chillingham Castle. If you've ever been there, you're driving down little dark country lanes. I had this really extremely haunted painting in the back of the car. It was absolutely black. You know, the roads were black. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. And everywhere I went, I spoke to him, and I said, "Look," I said, "we need to, you know, we really, really work well together tonight." And I remember the site, the estate manager called Joyce Fairbairn at the time. She said to me on this particular occasion, which was very, very kind of her, she says, "I'll let you have one of the rooms for free to sleep in tonight, John," because she had a spare room. And I said, right. So before all the guests came, it was me, the Englishman, propped up against the chair in this room. And I was looking at the painting, and you know when you can feel somebody looking at you?
Yeah.
But really, really feel the painting looking back at me. So we're on this room on our own, and it was like me looking at the painting and the painting looking back at me. And again, I said, let's do something really good tonight. So the guests came, and got a long story short, again, because we're limited on time. First room I took the painting to was a great hall. Great hall in Chillingham Castle is amazing. It's just a big long table, as you can imagine. It's got all artifacts on it. It's got an executioner's sword on the table, which is allegedly responsible for 50 beheadings, I think, if I remember rightly. And it's got all these different artifacts and implements and suits of armour. And it was quite dark. I put the painting in the corner. The team were all looking, and everybody saw a very, very tall, dark figure come out of the painting.
Really?
Very tall.
Coming out of the painting?
Out of the painting, yeah. And it was quite a quick glimpse of this dark figure coming out of the painting. Somebody said, "Look at that there," you know, like people do when they get excited. So then I decided, after that happened, at the end of the night, I took the painting upstairs to King Edward's room. Now, King Edward's room is a room above Sir Humphrey's, who owns the castle. It's above his personal quarters. Mm-hmm. So as you can imagine, King Edward's room is the most haunted room in the castle. But because of Sir Humphrey's living quarters underneath it, it gets the residual heat coming up. You know, and it warms the room up, so it makes the room quite pleasant, nice and warm, really.
Yeah.
So at that time, I didn't have an easel for the painting. When Sean gave me the painting, he just gave me as a painting. But later on, I got an easel, you know, to protect the painting. So what I did is I got everybody to form a circle, and there was 24 of us on that night. So bear in mind, that's 24 independent witnesses of what happened that night. You know, this was a whole thing about the live experiment, really. You know, everybody could see what was going on. You know, it wasn't just me saying what happened with this experiment. You know, it was like an event. It was a proper live experiment. There's 24 there. I propped up the painting against a chair, which was in the middle of the circle. I chose 2 ladies out of the circle, put them in the middle of the circle with the painting, one in front of the painting and one behind. And the reason being is that I wanted to balance out the energy within inside the circle, if that makes sense. Because, you know, speaking to the ladies now, who are all watching, and apologies to the men, and including myself in this, is that ladies have a lot more energy than men do. And I proved that because I did an event once for ladies only, and it was, again, an experiment, and it just went down amazingly. You know, if you get lots of men together, it's not quite right. You get lots of women together, and it works really well. And that's why, you know, events, you know, for me, when you're doing events, you have men and women, but it's always a bit better when you have more women than men. So I put these 2 ladies in the middle, and I was stood in the middle of myself because I always work in the middle of the circle. The reason being because that's where it's all the energy. The only thing I knew at this point was this was, like I say, about 12 months, maybe a year and a half later. The only things I knew was what John told me about the painting. And that was that he acquired the painting from his grandmother, and when she died, she passed it down to him. And the only things that he knew was that the painting was painted in the artist's blood, and when he finished it, he committed suicide. So the background to it is just totally interesting anyway. So I only knew these couple of things. So I started to ask the painting questions, and bear in mind, it was dark in this room. Everybody was holding hands, all 24 around the circle are holding hands with me and these two ladies in the middle. And the reason why we hold hands, as well as building energy within the circle, is if you're all holding hands, then there's nobody going to be making anything up. You can't touch anything, you can't nudge anything. And the interesting thing was there was this really large, really heavy bench on the outside of the circle. And I started asking questions. And I said to the painting, I said, can I talk to you now? And it was just amazing, really. The bench lifted up about 2 foot off the ground and slammed on the floor really, really hard. And everybody jumped to, you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, can you just give me a sign for no then? And it banged down twice. It was very much like Mozart at this point, the ones for yes and twice for no. But I just wanted to get that yes and no response. And it did it really hard, for twice. I can't remember all the questions I asked, to be honest, but, they were just run-of-the-mill questions, really. And I wanted to get to a really interesting question. And I said, okay, would you consider yourself to be pure evil? And the reason why I mentioned this is because Sean's grandmother said to Sean that she always considered the painting to be pure evil. So I said, would you consider yourself to be pure evil? Guess what the bench did? It lifted up very, very high and slammed down, yes. So everybody just went, did the sort of...
Yeah, you were, yeah.
Yes, And then as soon as that happened, do you remember that figure?
Yeah.
That figure came out the painting again, and it was a figure that was easily 6'6". It was dark, it was black, it was just like a shadow. There was a young girl, I always mention this young girl, and she was about 18 at the time, called Abby Horrocks. And she was part of the circle holding hands as everybody else were. And this 6'6" figure glided across to her. It's like, when you see a film and you see something glide across the floor on like a horror film. It was like that. It glided across the floor. It was about a foot away from this young girl, who was quite small anyway. She was probably about 5 foot something. And he was looking down at her. Yeah, and she was just shaking. You could hear her shaking. She was getting all distressed about it. Because the energy from this figure was just so immense.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I need to take control of this now. Yeah. We worked together, me and the painting, for about 12 months or so. And I said, okay. I said, do you consider to be connected to me now? Because I wanted to divert it away from Abby, because she was really, really scared. And then everybody saw the painting, the figure in the middle of the circle. It moved around the circle inside, and then it went round the circle inside, round to the back of me, and I could feel the intense energy of this entity trying to get into the back of me. And it's always the case, isn't it? They always try to enter through the back.
Yeah.
So, as you know, Viv, you practice these things and you stop things to happen. And I thought, I really need to take control of this now, because it was so powerful. And I thought, this isn't going to happen. And then as soon as I put me protection up and I blocked it, what I didn't tell you was, you remember me saying about this being a warm room?
Yes.
When this figure appeared, the room changed from being nice and warm to absolutely freezing cold. That cold, you could see your breath.
Really?
Really, yeah, really.
Quickly, did it just happen instantly?
Instantly, you could see your breath. And then when this figure tried to enter into the back of my body and I stopped it, it just went completely. The room went to the back to the normal temperature again, and you could see your breath was being normal again.
Was that figure David, John?
I don't believe it was at that time. David came after.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And the interesting thing,
can I just butt in for a second? How big is the painting?
which one? The Anguished Man?
The Anguished Man.
It's pretty big. It's probably what? Let's see. It's probably about 4 foot. No, about 3.5 foot wide. It's kind of square, so it's kind of like 3.5 foot by 3.5 foot, or something like that. I've never really measured it, I don't think. But the painting of David, that is a similar size because I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So
going back to the circle at
Going back to the circle, yeah. What actually happened was something strange happened. And when the atmosphere and the temperature went back to normal again, something else came into the room. And you could tell that this something else was completely different. And it grabbed hold of this bench, which was really, really heavy, and it just flipped it upside down. It literally flipped it upside down. And by this time, it was game over, and everybody was really, sort of nervous. All the 24 in this circle then had enough. And I always remember I have never finished an event where everybody was shaking at the end of the night. It was that tense,
Was that scary for you though, John? Did you feel a bit uneasy with what was going on?
See, the thing, Viv, is the thing is that at this time, I can't remember, it was a year or year and a half. I've been working with it for a year and a half. And not only did things happen like this, they used to communicate with me in my dreams. And the dreams I had were absolutely bizarre. Absolutely. They were the strangest dreams I have ever had in my life. Them being really real. Like when you're in a dream, and have you ever had a dream where you don't know whether you're awake or asleep?
Yeah.
It was that type of dream. And it was just totally, totally bizarre.
And you kept that painting in your home, didn't you, for all that time you had it?
Yes, I did. Well, a good friend of mine, Stephen Griffiths, I don't know if some people know Stephen Griffiths. You probably will if I mention the TV program to you called Living with the Dead.
Yeah, we know Steve. Yeah,
Living with the Dead. Stephen Griffiths did that for quite some time with Ian Lawman. Stephen Griffiths is a really good investigator, and to be honest, he's helped me a few times with my journey on the Anguished Man. And one of the things that he helped is, and he didn't realise it helped, but he did. He made a box for the painting, so I could put the painting in the box, and it had a lid on it, and I could carry it around, so it was protected. Now, what he didn't realise that he did, it was kind of a calming space for this painting. Whenever it was in the box, it was quiet, It felt good. But
yeah.
To answer your question, yeah, the painting was in the conservatory part of the building that I lived in.
Right.
And to give you an idea of the actual strange dreams I had, one of them was I was asleep, I was dreaming, and I could, at this point, I had an easel for the painting, which goes on in the story, really. And I could see the painting in my dream as I'm talking to you, and it's in the conservatory. And then all of a sudden, it moved from the conservatory, and then it's in the living room. Then all of a sudden, in my dream, it's moved from the living room to the hallway. And then all of a sudden, in my dream, it's moved from the hallway right next to me in the bedroom. Now, can you see the figures around the painting? Now, these figures around the painting, they're not part of the Anguished Man. I'll tell you about them in a bit.
Okay.
So they go further into the story. So when this happened, when the painting was next to the bed, at that point I woke up expecting to see the painting there, and it wasn't.
Ooh.
One of the other dreams was I always had the connection of World War II. There was always a World War II connection with this. And one of the dreams I had was particularly disturbing. Again, it was
let's go back.
as if it was real, as if it was real. And I remember it was that strange. I remember this dream as if it was last night. And I remember being in this tunnel, and this tunnel, there was a person in an arena. There was a tunnel, and then this tunnel came out to an arena, a sandy arena. And there was a young boy on the floor, and he was lay like in a fetal position, where he's trying to protect himself, lay on the floor. And then behind me, I could see lots and lots of people behind me. Now, if I looked to my right and I looked up, in my dream, I could see these 3 German soldiers looking down at us. But the 3 German soldiers looking down at us, the heads were massive. It was like we were little, small, and they were massive. And then in the arena, this young boy of about 18 or 17 or something, he was being kicked and punched by unseen feet and unseen fists. You couldn't see them. You could just see this young boy being inflicted this punishment, being kicked and punched. And I knew that when I went out into the arena, I would be next. So that was strange dream. Moving on.
I actually remember saying to you, and this, sorry, I'm bringing it forward a little bit, with David, you said to me once, do you get anything from the other painting, which you'll get to in a bit? And I said to you, I see a German prisoner of war camp. And I always remember saying that there is a connection there. And for you to say that is like, I remember saying to you, it's all coming to fruition. Because all you would say to me was, well, that's very interesting, Vivian.
Yeah, it is, and it's and you're right, and basically going forward, because I could talk about this for 4 hours, and we haven't got 4 hours. So
you need to write a book. You need to write the book.
I am doing, but it's taking me
I'll buy it.
It is literally taking me a long time. I've got it half done, but it's taking me a long time. And the book is called Pentimento: The Evolution of a Spiritual Journey. And the emotion attached to this painting when you're working with it is just amazing. It just takes a lot out of you emotionally.
Did you find that while you were working with the painting, that as well as the good happy days, you'd also get dark, gloomy, like this guy that painted it, obviously with his own blood and then committed suicide. Did you ever feel that darkness of the actual guy that was going through that depression, if you like, before he took his own life? Did you ever feel that?
Not the depression, but the negative energy of the painting, yes.
Right.
the English man was just totally negative, you know. And later on, this is where David came into it. You know, this is like I was saying, David seemed to come in my mind, after Chillingham Castle, I'm sure.
Do you know, can I just stop you? Robert's just said something in the chat that's quite interesting. I think you'd be interested to see this. He said, because I've had the picture going up periodically, he says, if you look at the picture, there's another face at the side in the paint.
Yes, there is. And if you look behind me now, you can see a skull. You see that?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. That painting you put up before of the Englishman, Stephen Griffiths put filters on it. And you could tell that there was a painting under the painting.
Let me put that painting back up now so people can see as you're talking about it.
This is where you want to have the painting x-rayed.
Well, because of these filters that Stephen Griffiths put on the painting, it could bring up what was under the painting. So you could feel like the gentleman said, who's on now, that you can see a face. Now, I assume it's the top right of the painting that you can see now where the skull is, because if you look, you can see that skull, within the painting. What's not quite...
I can see another face looking over the painting's shoulder, looking over the Englishman's right shoulder.
Yeah, well, what these are not part of the painting. These two images on the left and right are not part of the painting. They're what Stephen Griffiths discovered after putting filter on it, and then he drew it on this on this copy to show what is under the painting. And as you can see, on the left-hand side of the painting is an angel, and then on the right-hand side of the painting is a devil. And for some reason, he decided not to include those in the painting. But the interesting thing is that I feel that David is the good side of the painting. Well, I feel David is like a good entity that was connected to the Englishman, and I think it came after Chillingham Castle, because it started to get different then. And the interesting thing was moving on a bit. When I did start after Chillingham Castle, I then bought an easel to protect the painting. And the spooky thing was as soon as I gave the painting an easel, I gave it legs, literally. Because it started to move. When I started to speak to the painting, it started to move. And there was one particular time at Drakelow Tunnels, I took the painting to different locations. As I said, it was all part of the Englishman Live Experiment. Took it to Drakelow Tunnels, and the painting went berserk. It was just running around on these on the three legs of the easel. It was like rocking back and forth, and it was like just running around in circles, really. And I had these two ladies at the side of it, because every time I used the Englishman, I had to have two ladies being the importance of the stronger energy. And I had them just slightly touching the side of the painting, just ever so slightly, so they could give him the energy that he needed. And they were running around with the painting, trying to keep up with it. Again, there was lots of people who could see this. And from that, I then started to get better communication. And he used to shake the painting for no and lift the left leg of the easel for yes. And to cut a long story short again, over time, I discovered that that the artist, I believe, went to Bergen-Belsen, and due to the yes and no, and due to the yes and no, I got the name of David as well. And what else was it?
You spent a long time with that painting, just you with personally alone time with it, as well as all the experiments and taking it to all these different haunted places. I'm going to ask you like a personal question now.
Yes, of course.
For you, when was the most eye-opening and the most prominent place that you took that painting to that had the most not reaction, that's not what I mean the most information that came from that painting in relation to the actual surroundings that it was in, if it didn't like it, or do you know what I'm trying to say? Because you took it to haunted locations.
Yeah, it was kind of bit by bit, really. There wasn't one specific place where it was more than others, but it was kind of working with the painting, finding out bits of information, and then the dreams.
Right.
You communicated with me the dreams as well. And this is why this Bergen-Belsen, you replied to Bergen-Belsen, and that tied in for me with these German soldiers looking down in the tunnel. Yeah, that tied into that. So,
lots of little synchronicities coming together.
Yes, that's right. Story. And it was a shame, really, because the 3.5 years came to an end. And just as the 3.5 years came to an end, I built what's called a germanium receptor.
That's the name of the thing. I was calling it a flux capacitor earlier.
Germanium receptor. And you hear a lot on TV about semiconductors at the moment, with Donald Trump. It's semiconductors, this. And, now, there's germanium is a semiconductor. Okay. And I can send it to you if you want to show it. Just let me get on my iPad a second. I'll just send it to you whilst I'm chatting. And my aim was to, I'll send it to you now. My aim was to attach the germanium receptor to the painting. Okay. And if you want to bring up if you've got it, and bring up the germanium receptor. This is for all the techie people now. They'll love this bit. There you go, germanium receptor. And I'm not being rude. Please don't anybody think I'm being rude. But when it comes to equipment, I am bored to death. I am literally bored to death because it's not enough for me. The germanium receptor, it's all to do with EVP. Okay. And this design of the germanium receptor came from the skull experiment from Robin Foy. Unfortunately, Robin died 2 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of interviewing Robin Foy, such an amazing man. And to be honest, if I was really honest, Robin Foy has influenced me on the way I've worked. Yeah.
Oh.
He has, to be honest. The germanium receptor, you can see the two coils rated at 7,000 ohms. Behind the speaker, see that little speaker there? Behind that, there's a piece of germanium. Like I said, it's a semiconductor. So what you've got an EMF, electromagnetic force going around this piece of germanium. And then, I don't know if you can see right at the top, there's a copper conductor which goes down. It's like a copper screw. And it touches onto the germanium. And the idea really with the skull experiment was a far better version to what mine is, I should imagine. And they put a copper screw touching the germanium, so if you unscrewed it, it'd be a lighter touch on the germanium, so it'll give it a better adjustment.
Mhm.
I took it a bit further. What I did is I attached two wires to the germanium receptor, which you can see on top. And this is where I've got to go to the painting of David now. And this is
Okay.
where it gets a bit personal, to be honest.
Oh, hang on, that one.
And that is David. Yeah, this is where it gets a bit personal, to be honest. For quite a while, well, we still don't talk much now anymore. Me and Sean stopped speaking. The reason being because along the way, do you know when you always get somebody who wants to help you,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time I thought it was a good idea. I'm mentioning no names. This guy from the United States of America, he wanted to film the work I was doing, and at the time I thought, yeah, it's a good idea because I've never really filmed it. And I'll tell you why I didn't film it. I didn't film what went on. It's because I believed if I was filming all the time, I don't think I would have got as much activity as I did, because they're not stupid. You know, these entities are not performing dogs, are they, or cats or whatever. You know, they know they're being filmed.
But to be honest, though, John, if you were filming it, you'd be more worried about the cameras and whether getting this or and you would miss so much of what was actually going on if you were worrying about what they were doing with cameras. So
yeah, I did film it in the end, but via Stephen Griffiths' team.
Yeah.
So anyway, going, but that's a different. And he did see the painting move, and it's on YouTube.
Yes, it is.
The only thing with that now is so much AI going about now that everyone says, "Oh, that's AI. You've done something with that." It's not real. Believe me, it is real, because when you invent something, and it's not your own work, you just fooling yourself. You're just not doing yourself any favors whatsoever by telling lies, are you?
No. But as well, through word of mouth, though, John, I heard many people, not the same person, but lots of people talk about what went on in Scotch Corner with you and the painting. And these different people were saying the same thing. So are they all lying? They didn't know each other. So why would they say the same story? It's you couldn't make it up what they were saying.
So going back to the personal side of the story, this guy from America, he wanted to film it. I thought it was a good idea at the time. And then he started to change. He started to try and take over. It was like I was doing these events. I was doing the Irishman Live Experiment and doing different. I wasn't just doing that. I was doing different events as well. So we came on different events. But then I could tell he wanted to take over. So and then all of a sudden, I got a phone call from Sean, and he said, "John, can I meet you?" And he said, "I need to take painting back just to do some, just to sort of take it to somebody to show somebody." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So we met in Cumbria, because that's where Sean lives, and we met in a cafe, and I gave the painting to Sean. We had a cup of coffee, had a chat. He went home. He then sent me an email after I got home and said, this guy, who I won't mention any names, it's not quite fair, had said that I was a fraud, and he's got proof of it. So Sean obviously believed it. I said to Sean, look, Sean, if you think it's real, I said, just show it. Yeah. Because I know it's not real. And Sean wouldn't show it. And to this day, I don't know what it was. But what I do know, two things, which was interesting, was the guy who did it, when it went back to Sean, he was trying to work with it. Now, I knew there was nothing going to happen. You know why? Because it took me 12 months. It took me 12 months to actually build up a relationship with this painting. You know, a week working with this painting, nothing will happen. You've got to hold this relationship. And the interesting thing was when me and Sean were chatting, and he said, anyway, you're wrong about Bergen-Belsen. You know, he said a cousin, a distant cousin, has come forward to tell me information about the painting, and he said his name isn't David, because that's what I told Sean, that I keep coming up with this name of David all the time. And he said he didn't go to Bergen-Belsen, he went to Auschwitz. Now the interesting thing was that Bergen-Belsen is a detention camp for Auschwitz. So I wasn't that far wrong, was I?
No, it's all part of the same, isn't it? They would send them, yeah.
So anyway, me and Sean parted ways, and a strange thing happened, and it was for the better, really, I suppose. Now, really, a strange thing happened was for about, because you know, Viv, I got too close. I know I did. When I think about it, I got too close. And you can understand why. Yeah, you can understand. I was working with him all the time. I got too close. And a strange thing happened. For 8 or 9 months, I wasn't interested in anything. It was like I was grieving for somebody. It was like I'd lost somebody really, really special. You know, like, can you imagine parting two twins apart? It was kind of that.
Or losing your best friend.
Yeah, it was like that demoralising. Yeah, I was just grieving. I was depressed. I wasn't interested in anything, and it lasted for about 8 or 9 months. Maxine, my partner, she said, John, at that time, she said, John, you really need to get yourself back together. She said, you're not doing yourself any favours. She said, you need to get back onto the bike. And she said, you need to book an event or something. This was about 12 months after this now. And I decided to book an event at a place called the Manor House in London. And it was just a normal event. And a friend of mine, Bill Smith is called, not spoke to Bill in a long time. Bill is he was a semi-professional boxer. He was a big guy, Bill. And I always remember that his wife brought Bill along to one of the Irishman Live Experiment events. And Bill didn't believe in anything. And he came out of that event being a believer and a friend. And he always believed in what I did from that day. Bill Smith, to this event, he brought a spirit board with him. And he always knew that I don't use spirit boards. The reason being because, you know, some people don't like them, some people do, some people get badly influenced by them, you know, and get all upset by them. And for me, again, like the equipment, and I'm not being rude, it's just not my thing. Every man and his dog has a spirit board. It's not for me. You know, I need to do my own stuff. I need to do different stuff. And Bill brought it along, and he thought, well, I won't give it to John, I'll give it to Maxine. so he gave it to Maxine.
He knew what you'd say.
He gave it to Maxine, and he says, look, Maxine, I said, I don't know why, but I'm compelled to give you this board. Okay. And she said, right, okay. So they was all intrigued why, and were compelled to give me this board. So it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was driving back to Manchester. After the event, I went back to bed. So it gave Bill's wife, Cheryl, Shelley, Bill's wife, Shelley, a lady called Cheryl, and Maxine a chance to go on Spirit Board whilst I was in bed asleep. You got the planchette out and put fingers on the planchette. And this is 12 months after the Englishman went back to Sean. And it's spelled out D-A-V-I-D without any problems whatsoever. It's spelled it quickly. And it's spelled out that, I know it sounds nuts, but I'm only saying what they told me, and they all told me the same story of what happened that night. He said that he missed me and he wanted to work with me. And it just, I'll be honest with you, when Maxine told me the next day when I got up, I just broke up.
Yeah. Yeah. After all that time, and then that had passed, and then this had happened, I can imagine it was a very emotional time for you as well. It
was. It was just, I never experienced emotions like it. It was just strange. And the other strange thing was, which I haven't told you yet, and it was totally bizarre. And this room is a mess. You can't see this room behind it. It's just a mess because I'm doing work in it. And I used to work with this guy at United Utilities. It's called Steve. And he used to buy books and used to read these books. And he decided to buy a book about rituals. And I've not made this up. This is true. No. And I can't remember the name of the book. I've got it somewhere. And he gave me this book. This is 5 years before. He gave me this book, and he tried all these rituals, and he got bored with it because nothing worked. He was one of these people who wanted something to happen by using these rituals and learning how to use them. The book was a nightmare to read. You know what I mean? It was just really hard to get into. So consequently, I never really read it, to be honest with you. So I didn't. So anyway, on the day I was coming on, this is one of these strange coincidences. Now, remember me saying to you at the start of the conversation where Sean Robinson sent me the email, but he sent it to me by mistake.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, this guy from work, 5 years previous to this, he gave me this book. I didn't really read it. I can't remember what it was called. It was called Book of Ritual, I think, something like that. And on the day of the event that I was going to London, he sent me an email, a text, and he said, I've noticed you doing this event in London. Can me and my son come along? And I said, yeah, of course you can, Steve, no problem. He didn't come. But when they was having this Ouija board session, David said the title of the book that Steve gave me 5 years ago. Right. And then he spelt out the chapter within this book of one of the rituals and the page number. And it was to do with a ritual of Solomon or something like that. I can't remember that. But the whole thing was to have people there, and each person had to be a sign of the zodiac. Okay, so your Pisces and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So you have to have all of them. Yeah. So then I had this. I don't know whether David at that time was putting thoughts in my head. I have no idea. But at that time, when Maxine told me this the next day, I thought, you know what? I said, I'm not going to be called a fraud, Maxine, by anybody. And I decided I bought a canvas, okay, painted the canvas white. I cut some of my hair and chopped it very, very, very finely. I mixed it in with the paint, the base coat of the paint, the white paint on the canvas. The reverse side of the canvas, I knew, because I've worked with the painting for so long, I knew where all the energy points were in that painting. Yeah. So at the four corners of the painting, I put copper plates about 6 inches, and all these copper plates were connected at the back of the painting in series, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they were connected by copper strips, and then the copper strips were then connected to the outside of the painting because I put a copper frame on the outside of the painting. And the reason for that is because, again, it's all about the generation of energy. Yeah. Then, once I did that, we took it to a place called Cook's Corner in Hartlepool. It's a friend of mine called Jason Cook, and he had a cellar in the painting. He had a cellar in the cafe, which he gave to me. He said, "You can use it." I said, "Thank you." We went in the cellar, and it was a little haunted cellar. It was an amazing little cellar. It was. Unfortunately, he hasn't got that place anymore. But at that day, Michael Postlethwaite was there. He filmed it. At that day, I connected the painting to the Ouija board by copper conductors, and we did a process, what is called karmic transmigration, and that's basically moving a spirit from one object to another. And we managed to move the spirit of David from the Ouija board to the painting that I've got now. I'm
going to put that picture back up for those people to see. Jonathan, have a look at this picture. Jonathan looks like he's gone to sleep.
I'm concentrating and trying to stop the dog climbing up. But every time it comes up, but then he knocks the camera off.
Hang on, just 1 second.
I'm not asleep, I promise.
So look at this painting, Jonathan. Before John continues, I just want to say that I saw this personally. I saw this particular painting when, as John has just described, had the metal plates, and it was just an outline, one side a skull, one side a face. And I had the pleasure of taking part in an experiment by John mentioned before, putting a finger on very lightly on the side of the painting, which stood on an easel. And it started to move. And I had Sean Cadman with me at the time. And he looked at me and we whispered behind the painting, put some pressure on and see if you can get it to stay still, which we tried. And we couldn't. And this thing started walking. And this is not the original Anguished Man picture that did the same thing. This was something else that John had worked really hard when he's just explained to you what he did.
Yeah.
And this thing with my own eyes, and I swear to God, I'm not lying to you, this thing moved, and it moved hard and fast. And if the truth be told, and please excuse the language for those listening in the chat, because I know my mum's listening, it did shit me up, because when this thing started moving, we were in a prison cell at the Galleries of Justice, and we were in one of the it was a larger cell, but it wasn't very nice to visit. It was just a prisoner's cell, and it did put the willies up you, I must admit. So when John is telling you about this, I've actually experienced it, and hand on heart, I've never been so frightened and confused and bewildered and thought it was brilliant all at the same time. This thing just blew my mind. And right, I'm going to hand back over to John so he can talk a bit more. Sorry, John.
Yes, when you did that.
What Robert wrote?
Sorry.
Look what Robert wrote. It's done on the bottom of the screen.
Oh, sorry. Try putting a charge through the copper band. Well, that's what we do, but we do put a charge with people, because people, when you have people in a circuit, they generate energy. I know what you're saying. You're saying a stronger charge. We tried pH pumps, which is one thing that Michael Postlethwaite suggested, and pH pumps kind of means energy.
So you transferred this over from the Ouija board into the canvas with the coppers.
Yeah.
You did the transference. What happened next after that, John?
Again, I started to work with the painting again, trying to get the painting to communicate more and stuff like that. And to be truthful, I'll be honest with you, Viv. Since the encounter with the guy from America, I thought I'm not working with anybody else again. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm working with myself. Yeah, and that's what I did. And I'm now, going forward now. I've decided, no, I shouldn't be doing that. I should let other people get involved. And this is where you come in, Viv. Okay.
Okay.
What actually happened is me. Can I talk about what I plan on doing in the future, if that's okay? I know we've probably gone over time, haven't we? But it's just there's so much to cover on this. Like I said, I could be speaking to this for hours and hours. But we haven't.
We're going to stop. We're going to stop 1/2 the hour. So you've got another 20 minutes, and then that's it.
Okay. So there's. I don't know if you can find it for you. I'll try and find it. I took David, the painting, the one that you saw before, not the Irishman. I took it back to Chillingham Castle 2 years ago, and I connected the germanium receptor via copper conductors to the outside of the painting, and I kicked myself. The reason being is because I was talking to painting.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That was me. Sorry.
All right. I was talking to the painting, and we got some amazing EVP. And I'm trying to find. Right. I'll try and play it for you. Okay.
Okay.
I've got it on this voice recorder, and I don't know whether you'll be able to hear it properly or not.
Turn your volume right up now so you can hear it.
We will give it a go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put power on, and if I go to, just bear with me a sec. Sorry.
Folder B. Folder C. Folder D.
Yeah. I'm not too sure. You'll have to bear with me a sec. It's obviously not that one. So I was trying to be prepared with this, but there we go. I've got it now. I think that's it. I've slowed it down now, so listen right at the end. Right. Did you hear that?
I'm trying. He said, I'm trying.
Did the people who were listening hear that? Did you guys who were tuned in tonight hear that being a
I
chance?
heard at least 3 different voices.
They were people that were there. It's the one right at the end where Viv says, I am really trying, he says. And we was asking him to move the easel. The painting in the easel was really rocking like mad, and there was 2 ladies holding it either side. And I had the lights off. It was at Chillingham Castle 2 years ago in Edward's room. And when I turned the lights on, I could kick myself because the easel leg got stuck on the carpet.
Yeah.
So when he said he was really, really trying, he was trying to turn it round, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but you actually got a voice through the geranium receptor.
Yes, and it was attached to the painting. So what I'm going to do is there's a lady called JP Alters, and I was going to do the Pentimento live experiment with JP Alters on Channel 12 TV network. That fell through, and it didn't go ahead because JP isn't doing the show anymore. So what I'm tending to do is the Pentimento live experiment. Okay, and what Pentimento means is a painting with underneath a painting. That's it. If you look in the dictionary, that's what Pentimento means. So I intend to get a team together, and I've approached you, Viv. I've approached, and I'll tell you the reasons why. I've approached you, Viv, because you've been involved before. Okay. I've approached William Becker, who's listening tonight. William, because me and William have done some private sessions with the painting, and William, I've always had big respect for William, and I've had big respect for you as well. But a lady who used to work with called Annette Moss. I used to work with Annette Moss for quite a few years. Annette Moss is a brilliant medium at the end of the day. I don't think I'm getting too personal because Annette told me this, so I'm sure imagine she won't mind me telling you. Is that Annette clinically died once, and it was when she came back to life again that she had her mediumship skills, which is really interesting. William, you all know about William Becker, and like I say, I want William to be part of it. And Stephen Griffiths, I want Stephen Griffiths to be part of it as well on the EVP session. The idea is the Pentimento live experiment sessions are going to be like what we're doing now. Okay, streamed, because I proved me and William have kind of proved that you don't need to be next to the painting. We could do it via streaming. And I thought the good way to go is to get JP Alters to actually to be the host, as it were, because I want you to be part of it. Okay. So first of all, there'll be, the way I see it, there'll be a live stream with first of all, to introduce the Pentimento live experiment team and to do interviews with those involved and about their background and about why they want to be part of it. After that, the idea was to have a group mediumship sessions. So we'd have all the group together on the live stream, painting with me where I am now, and to see what the team can pick up, individually. And I'll be taking notes on all this. I'll be recording this.
It makes it difficult because he knows what I've got already, and I'm going to have to give him more.
The next session will be a transfiguration session. I know William isn't comfortable with this at all, And I know why, because William's told me why, but I'll keep that between me and William for the time being. Only because it's what William came up with,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and I don't want to sort of put it in somebody else's head, you know, what William said. And the transfiguration session will be, in this room there'll be a red light. I'll be connected to the painting with copper conductors to my wrist. You take the lights, the red light down so you can just see enough. And again, it's your typical transfiguration session. But the reason why I'm doing this is, you know, I've learned from experience that transfiguration doesn't always work on film. Okay. But it's not just about that, really. It's about, you know, can more be picked up?
Yes. Yeah.
At that point. Yeah. If we do get transfiguration, even better.
Could you just explain what transfiguration means?
Yes. Well, it's something that Viv's done. You can explain it, Viv.
It's when you invite the spirit or entity to come close enough to walk into your etheric field, that it physically changes the way you look. So if I was to transfigure now, you wouldn't see Vivian sitting here, but you might see a big fat hairy man with a moustache and beard and glasses, wearing a smoking hat and a nice cigar in, you know.
Hang on.
That's what transfiguration is. You'll see me change, but it's the entity that brings itself in and uses me as a canvas, if you like, as a painting, and puts itself or himself or herself in place of me.
And you said etheric field?
Yes, we all have a field that surrounds us. It's got many layers. I'm not going to go into the full ins and outs, but this etheric field is all around us. Some people, mediums, say that they can read the aura. It's our etheric field that glows with different colours, meaning different things, and that's what it is. It goes all around us, underneath us, behind us, over us. Yeah, it's a part of us, basically.
Okay.
So it's not just about the
silly questions.
Okay. So it's not just about transfiguration, but at that point of transfiguration, is it possible that you're going to get greater communication? You know, as in psychic communication. Is it?
Yeah.
Is that possible? Okay. The next one I'm really excited about, and I need time to organise this because I need to get in touch with a lady. Stephen Griffith said he was going to get in touch with her, and she's a lady who actually worked for the government, and she was a remote viewer. So I'm going to try and get her involved because
that sounds interesting.
She was very, very good. This lady was very, very good. So if we can get this lady who's a remote viewer, you know, remote viewing, in case some people don't know, say you could give this lady a set of coordinates and she could psychically home in on those coordinates. She could go in the building, she could tell you that she's going down the corridor, she could tell you that she's turning left, she could tell you what's in that room. So you can see why the government were using remote viewers at one point. And anyway, hopefully, if we can get this lady's name, I think I know who it is, but I need to confirm with Steve because he's spoken to her before. If we can get her in on this, you know, then wouldn't that be amazing?
It would.
Because it'd be interesting for her to remote view, get to the building where I am now, describe where she's going to get to the room where I am now, describe what's in the room and what she can feel that's in the room. So again, it's getting to the roots of David again, isn't it? Painting.
Mm.
The next one, which I have done before, with Stephen Griffiths was there filming it, and I did this with the Irishman. And what Stephen told me, I cannot remember. I'll be honest with you. I did what was kind of supposed to be. Well, it was. Do you remember the cage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lone vigil in a cage with the Irishman. I was there all night. I did it for chat and charity, and we had a team streaming it at the time. And because we did it for BLESMA, which is the British Luminous Sex Services Association, the site went down a number of times. There was that many people trying to get on it that the site went down. It was amazing. But I mean, it went down and then came back up again. And although I was doing this on my own with the painting, in another part of the building, I had Stephen Griffiths' crew there with all equipment, camera equipment and stuff like that. So I was kind of on my own, you know, but I had to have this team in the background. So anyway, Andy Mercer came down, didn't Andy Mercer? Yeah, and he did a past life regression on me with the painting. I cannot remember this whatsoever, but Stephen Griffiths said we were all very, very concerned because he said that he had gone into this hypnotic state and we couldn't get you out of it. I was totally gone, and it took him a while to get me back. So I thought I need to do this again, but do it with David the painting, and this time be connected to the painting physically with copper.
That would be good.
Yeah, so that's going to be done. Then we have got to do an EVP session, and I'm going to ask Stephen Griffiths to do that because he's big on his EVP.
And with the geranium receptor as well.
Yes, yeah, and what other EVP equipment Steve has. And then the last thing eventually is I'm going to get a location and we'll have it filmed, and the team will be all together at this location and we'll work with the painting at this location and see what we can get. So that's the whole thing. So
it sounds amazing, the whole thing.
Thank you. Majority of stream, let's say the last one, which is a location, but it's not just privy to those who are part of the investigation, part of the Pentimento team. People can come along and be part of that final session. As I discussed before, the book that I'm writing, which
let me get that picture up. Let me get that picture up.
It's taking a long time because I keep getting back onto it all the time. I finished a chapter that I've gone over about 10 times, to make it sound better.
Too fussy for your own good, that's what it is.
And we're working, it's kind of half done, but this Pentimento Live Experiment will be in this book. The finding will be in the book. So the book basically is the story of how I was introduced to the Englishman, how I went on along the journey, and it'll finish with working with David as he is now, the painting. And David, like I said, he came along halfway between the journey, and it was very, very quickly, I'll tell you something really, really quickly that bewildered me, and it bewildered quite a few people who were there. Again, I tried to raise money for BLESMA, and I approached 30 East Drive and Bill Bungie to allow me to do a 2-day lone vigil with just me and the painting. And he said, yes, you can do it. I thought, fantastic. So I was all ready for it. I got a lot of stick over this thing. I was all ready for it. And about a week before, or 2 weeks before, I was working with David in a place called the White, is it the Red Lion in Pontefract?
Right.
And the painting was, it's the only time I've argued with painting. We not argued. We had we had a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And I had people on that live session, that live experiment. They were gobsmacked of what went on that night, because I thought to myself, you know what? I said, if I'm taking David to 30 East Drive with me, I should ask him really if he wants to come along. You know, I shouldn't just take him. Do you know what I mean? Because that'd be wrong, wouldn't it? So I said, David, I said, I'm doing this lone vigil and I want you to come at 30 East Drive. Now, the Red Line is in Pontefract, and so is 30 East Drive. And the painting was shaking like mad. It was really shaking. And everybody was open-mouthed, you know. And I said, David, hang on. I said, is there a problem? And he lifted the left leg of the easel, which was always yes. Yeah. And I said, is it because you don't want to go? And he was shaking like, as in no. You know? And within the yes and no, he told me that all this time working with the Anglish man, when I was working with the Anglish man, David at some point was part of that.
Yeah.
And he said that he was keeping the negative side of the Anglish man back. So at that point, I think it was after Chillingham Castle, I think my communication then changed from what was attached to the painting, the negative side, to David, who was the good side, the positive side. Again, going back to the Anglish man, that filters that Stephen Griffiths put on, I'm thinking David, I'm not saying as an angel, but I'm thinking David, the good side.
Yeah.
On the shoulder. And I think the Anglish man is the darker side of the shoulder. And it was at this point that after Chillingham Castle, I started to communicate with David more. And he told me on that night, when I said I wanted to take him to 30 East Drive, by shaking violently, saying that no, he wasn't going to go. And he basically told me within the communication that if he went, he wouldn't be able to protect me.
Yeah.
Against the darker side of the painting. He thought that the darker side of the painting, due to what was present at 30 East Drive, he said that he wouldn't be able to control the darker side of the painting coming through.
Yeah.
And he couldn't protect me in that way. So I thought to myself, I had a really difficult decision to make. And what it was that Bill Bungie had given me the go-ahead to do this lone vigil for two nights. I was going to do it for Blesner, British Limited Sex Services Association, and making some money. And I thought, do you know what? If I go ahead and do it, and why would he listen to me again? Why would the painting work with me again? Because he's told me not to do it. So I couldn't do it, and I got stick over it, but I couldn't do it.
I think you did the best thing, because you're building a relationship. It's a friendship. And if you basically, if you'd done it, you'd basically be saying to David, F you, I'm going to do it anyway. And you don't treat your friends like that, you know. So it's having that level of respect on both sides.
Yeah. It is, isn't it?
Goes a long way.
So
Right, listen,
where we are.
guys, we've come to the end of the show. I hope you've enjoyed
We haven't
the story.
finished anywhere near finished.
I know. There's so much more, but I'm not going to press John too much for it because it's going to be in his book. We want people to buy the book. But what we will do is get John back on the show and we'll ask him when the book's coming out. And if it's not...
Do you know what? It's going to be a long time, but I'm telling you right now. Because, for one, I'll be honest, I'm not an author. I am not an author. But I'm doing it, and it's sounding good. But I think I'm
fits and spurs.
Working as well. It's just difficult.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I hear you on that one. But we'll all be watching out on social media to see your progression with the Pentimento Experiment, what you do next. As soon as you announce this going out on your live thing that you're doing, we will also share it out and let people know when it is, where they can see it, how they can see it, and we will do that this end for you. But Jonathan and I would want to thank you, John, for coming on. It's been amazing, as always.
Thank you very much. It's been good speaking to you.
Jonathan, what was you saying?
I was just saying very much so.
I think Jonathan's blown away, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. I got dozens of questions to ask you, so I'm not going to ask any of them until next time you're on.
Shall we do it? You're going to write them down, Jonathan. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah. I will.
I know. And the last words.
This has really opened my eyes to a hell of a lot of stuff.
Thank you, Robert. Robert says it.
The last words have got to be with Robert because he's the public speaking there and said it was a good night, and we hope you've enjoyed it. But all that's left to say now is good night to everyone and end the stream. We will be back next week at 8 o'clock and hope you can join us then. Until then, take care, bye, guys.
Next week.
Bye.
Oh, yes.
Come on. Time to go home. Time to go home from your simply spooky adrenaline ride. Time to go home. Time to go home. Even if you're terrified. Goodbye. Time to go home, time to go home. Vivian and her weird friends are all going home. Time to go home, time to go home. Vivian is waving goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.